India, which is one of the busiest and most populated cities, I think. And I've been associated with the charter for a few months now, and it's extremely valuable and amazing to be in these groups. I'm sure you'll have fun and learn a lot as well. So what we are doing is we recently conceptualized this initiative of starting a network of compassionate schools, and this was after our call with our counterparts in Pakistan, who we learned so much from. So there is one more person in associated with the Charter for Compassion in a nearby city. So we recently met, in fact, a few days ago, and we've already started reaching out to schools, asking them to enroll themselves as compassionate schools. So our next role is going to be to try and connect students from India and Pakistan and talk about compassion without borders. And we are going to also see how we can work more deeply with the schools to create an ecosystem which talks about compassion. So we plan to work with the educators, with the students, and with the parents, and also bring in the element of being compassionate towards our planet by creating awareness on climate change issues and helping students take action on the ground. So that's currently what's going on. Big focus on education here, and that's what most of the women who are part of our network within India seem to be inclined towards. So that's a quick update.
Yeah, it's been a full couple months for you, Namrata, for sure. Yes. Susan, welcome. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Susan is in the mid-state of California, and you're looking at Michelle and Annie. They're our new ambassadors, and of course Elaine, Betsy, and Namrata are with us too. And what we're doing, we're taking this time, which is good for all of us always. I mean, it's part of our check-in anyway, to share, you know, what's going on, where we're at, because we are the boots on the ground, we are the compassion on the ground. We do breathe into this group what's happening where we are, and then take our information back out into the world. It's a relationship. And ambassadors come into our sector in a number of different ways. Some are partners who are doing their work, stay in their lane, while paying attention to our other partners and knowing what everybody else is doing, and then speaking compassion where they are, bringing our message out into the world while they're doing their work. So it's not adding anything other than a layer to what they're doing. And in that way, we can really grow gracefully, elegantly, at the same time as improving our own work. In having the network and leveraging all that the Charter for Compassion has to offer too. So to that end, and so some of our ambassadors come here without any, you know, involvement in their community at all, and they just want to know how to get more involved in their community, or they just want to be in service to the Charter. There's, you know, however you come to us, we're happy to have you, as long as that you understand that you agree to the Charter. If you do that, we're all on good ground, and that's all that really matters here. But as you will see, you'll see a broad spectrum of engagement. So I just wanted to let you know that. Susan, hi, welcome. And you want to share with Annie, Michelle, and also all of us, you know, remind us and update us on where you're at. You've just given birth to something pretty amazing.
Yes, I have, and it really is amazing. It is a work, an encyclopedia of women and world religions that I created, and with 120 other people, mostly women, speaking from their faith traditions, or you know, from a historical or academic perspective. It's not dogmatic, so you know, it's an objective encyclopedia But you know, the networking that I experienced in that project was like nothing else I've ever done. And the product is going to be coming out late this fall. And I think it's wonderful. And, you know, I really wanted to share my passion uh, and, you know, what wisdom I have in creating a workshop at the Parliament that would, you know, where we would work together to think about how to use our passion for women in many different ways. So I'm working on that now, which I've just started working in my neighborhood, which is a really small rural area, like super small. Everybody knows everybody. And it's very conservative, but we have, you know, a small group of progressives, men and women working together in a huddle group, which is now growing to nearly 20. And so we're working on that, and we're doing community events where we bring diverse people together and share, encouraging our small community to get to know each other and to see each other's you know, ethnic and cultural diversity and embrace that, and you know, and working on you know, we're all surrounded by forest here, so we are very interested in the environment and native habitats as well.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Amazing. Can't wait to see your book. And the Parliament, if you're not familiar, Michelle, I imagine you might be because of, you know, you've been involved with the We the World and the games and such. The Parliament of the World's Religions is the world's largest and oldest interfaith and multicultural conference. Every 3 or 4 years, it moves around the world. And this coming Parliament, it's coming up in November, about 12,000 people from about 80 different countries show up, and every walk of life and every regalia and every language and every texture show up I thought it was 500 workshops, 1,500 workshops over the course of a week's time, along with plenaries and exhibits and art and food and, you know, just everything, as well as there will be a youth component. There's a women's task force with programming, and I happen to, and Susan, myself, Namrata, and a number of ambassadors are doing workshops there. I will be on roller skates. I'll be on about 6 panels or workshops. But just eat your Wheaties and take your vitamins and come ready to be blown away and transformed. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know if that was something new, Annie or Michelle, you hadn't heard about before. And Elaine, I think you reserved not to come. Are you? I don't remember.
I don't think that I'll be able to come, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, well.
It's a whole week, and you know, there's not only the registration, but you have to get a hotel, transportation. It's you know, beyond many people's ability to do that. It's a big sacrifice for me to do it, but it's just really worthwhile.
And you have to come for the whole week. You know, you don't want to miss anything from the opening ceremony, actually before the opening ceremony too. Yeah, and there's a huge Indigenous, you know, presence there, huge, bigger this year than any other year, because all of the elders are really showing up because they have a message. This is going to be, I think, earth shaking, not shattering, earth vibrating. We're going to feel it wherever. You'll see the waters rise when,
Well, this is what I always know. If I'm meant to be there, I'll be there, because I am doing a lot of work with the grandmothers right now. So, and other Indigenous elders. So either I'm there physically or I'm there in spirit with them.
You will be there one way or the other, no doubt.
So,
Elaine, why don't you share? Why don't you go next?
yeah.
To that end, yeah.
Okay, and I do apologize. I need to get off the call. I can only be on for 45 minutes collectively. So if I jump off, I'm not trying to be rude, but I have another commitment I'll have to get to, and I have to drive to that location. Thank you again, Sandy, for all that you do on this planet. I'm a little bit of everything. I'm a writer. I'm an author of 2 books, working on my 3rd. I am a radio host. I've been on television as quote unquote an expert guest as an energy medicine person. I am an energy healer and an intuitive. And in the course of saying yes to the work that I do, Spirit has said, okay, you really want to do this? We're going to put you in various parts of the planet to meet people. So I've worked with Indigenous elders. I've stood in the stones of Stonehenge. I have been with Indigenous elders in Peru. And it is, as Sandy said, this is a very important time that is an awakening for humanity, and in ways that we have never conceptualized before. But the many keepers of wisdom have always guarded literally with their lives. And so I am very grateful and privileged to work with them, to be with them, to share information with them, and to be an individual who gets to help to disseminate some of this information. So compassion is a human necessity, and not something that we can just give because we think it's nice to do. Compassion is a requirement for spiritual growth. And when we understand compassion, we understand that we are a part of one gigantic cosmic being. And so it is not something we're doing exclusively for others, we're doing it for ourselves and therefore the whole. So that's kind of me.
kind of, wow. Yeah, and that's just that's just up here. Wait till you hear Elaine and her interviews. You want to show everyone how to get to those interviews? So we can listen to you, like interviewing Grandmother Florina Mayo for one, and other recordings.
Yes, just this morning I was in a email conversation with her. So it's mysterious and magical how, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys are hearing, but it's breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming across perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'm lip reading too.
You well,
I'm really glad you're on video.
the thing that is very humbling is when I had the incredible opportunity to stand face to face with Grandmother Flor de Mayo. And she took my hands and she said, "It is good to see you again, my sister." And essentially it was, there was this incredible recognition of what we need to understand, that there is no accident that even the women here on this group call are, there is no one here that isn't meant to be here. And so we're all have a common thread of what it is that we're doing and that is truly understanding who we are as spirit. And we just look like we're in physical bodies. We think that there's a difference in our age and our ethnicity and our body type and all of this other business, but we're spirit. And as we have that understanding, I'm sorry, Sandy, you'd asked me to say something and all I heard was a garble. So what did you ask me to share?
Oh, how to find you and your recordings, so we can.
Oh, thank you.
So everyone can.
If you go to Empower Radio, which is EMPOWERADIO, so there's one R.com. And if you go to the list of shows, my show is called Going Beyond Medicine. And you can listen to all of the shows that I've done in the last 2 years with world leaders and people that are just doing amazing things. And if you go to that, you can click and listen to any show that I have done. So the recent show this week was with a gentleman, or excuse me, last week was with a gentleman who works with Grandmother Flor de Mayo, who is a botanist and agriculturist by trade, who is a seed keeper. So there's so much to share. I don't want to go overboard.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. Yeah, so Betsy's at work. She's got up in the chat box. She's already put the link for you. Is it .com? Empower80.com. And yeah, and find Elaine and then ElaineGroman.com, right, is also your link.
Yes, yes, I'll put that on there.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Well, hopefully we can scoot through, and then you can hear about Michelle and Annie too. So we'll try to. Oh, hopefully she'll come back. I could hear her go, oh, like, oh, I know I'm pushing the wrong button. All right, oh, there you are, Elaine. You disappeared on my screen. Sorry. Betsy, are you with us? Thanks, Elaine, for putting that in the chat window. Betsy is our Director of Relationship Outreach, and typically you would have gotten an email from Betsy welcoming you, but I sort of pulled it, I just sort of took it. It was, my fingers were moving along, so I decided to just send you the welcome letter myself. But Betsy is out welcoming new ambassadors and new partners, as well as working on some grants for us, as well as constantly looking and helping us grow as a sector. So Betsy, you want to say hi and tell us where you are and introduce?
Hi, Annie and Michelle. It's nice to meet you. I am here in Stafford, Virginia. Today I'm in Dale City, Virginia, watching my granddaughters, which is how I've been spending my summer. And so I have been, aside from what Sandy has said, I am, they are my job now, my grandkids are. And so working with them so that they grow up to be good social citizens, global citizens, teaching them how to love and respect the planet, how to love and respect other people, and that the world doesn't revolve around them, because kids tend to be very selfish little beings. So broadening their minds that it's a small world, but it's a big world, and there's lots to see and lots to learn and lots to love. So and I agree with Elaine that none of us are here by accident. We're all here because we're meant to be here. I'm still, even though I do have my fingers in lots of little bits of things here with the Women and Girls group, I'm still on my journey trying to figure out what my purpose is. So, or maybe one of these days it'll hit me in the head. I don't know, but this is a great group, and welcome. And it's nice to meet all of you. And that's all I got.
Betsy's understated her impact in our sector. She really is amazing. I can count on a regular basis getting recommendations and connections, and look at this and look at that. I mean, she's really, I just really value your work, Betsy, here in our leadership, at our leadership level. All of our ambassadors, as you read in your introductory letter, all of our ambassadors are the real leaders. You're looking at the leadership of this sector. All of you, including you two, are the leadership. This is feminine leadership. This is shared horizontal leadership, in that we are, this is not coming out because I founded the Women and Girls sector, which means I suggested it and was the one given the responsibility to make sure the website's put together and then listen to you all. I was given no rules or regulations. I was literally given a blank slate. So in this moment, I'd like to honor Marilyn Turkovich, the director of the entire charter, for just trusting me to go for it, I think were her words. And with, like I said, from that, she helped me pull together some women from around the world to develop the sector in terms of what does it look like, what does it want to be, what is our vision, what is our mission, and our logo. And from that, we birthed the ambassador program. From that, we birthed webinars. From that, we just kind of like a new species of flower that's coming out of the ground. We don't know what it's going to look like or if it'll ever stop growing, and what sprouts will come off of its petals and continue to grow. We're just always listening and always saying yes. If it makes sense and we have the capacity to do it. Some things we say yes to that we don't have the capacity to do it, and it finds its own way somewhere else. So like that, like nature. So any rate, that's I just wanted to drop in a little bit about who I am in this world, and I'm also a partner on a number of different partners as well. And so now I'm going to do a quick introduction of you, Michelle, but if there's anything you'd like to add to this, because I want to make sure you don't forget to say these things.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I've been posting on our Women and Girls page, and you know how we've always been wanting to get dialogue? Well, we've gotten some people to have conversations on some of the things that I've posted.
Yes.
So, you know, and which is nice because some of them are dialogue with men. And so it's so I'm glad about that too, because people were just liking it and liking the articles, but now they're actually leaving comments, and they're actually starting to everybody's posts that are putting things there. And so like the one post I put about women leaders, and more women need to come into government jobs and things like that. And a guy was like, well, yeah, but women are going to make mistakes. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that started a dialogue with me and a lot of other women, and talking about paternalistic and maternalistic societies and all the mistakes that we're going to make as women leaders. And I'm thinking, I told him sit back and just watch the world become a better place, basically. So just enjoy the ride, sir. So we'll see what happens with that, but I find it interesting what some of the comments have been. So, so we got our dialogue going with people that don't normally show up on these calls. So that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. And we encourage everybody to go to social media and contribute. That's right. We don't want it to be a blog spot. We really want it to be a place for conversation, not just posting important memes, which is good too. It's always thought inspiring and provoking. Thanks, Betsy. So, Michelle is in Massachusetts, and well, you know what? Would you just start all over, Michelle? I'm not.
Okay, sure.
Please.
Sure. Well, to begin with, I'm a mother of 8. I have 5 biological and 5 adopted children, and have 7 grandchildren, with 1 on the way. My youngest son is having him and his fiance a baby. So my whole life has been evolved around children and elders, and so growing up, wherever there's been a need, I've seen tried to take it and help. Through the Box Project, I help mothers in Mississippi who are living in plantation houses. So as a family, we get the boxes together, and we would mail out a box every month to help them with dishes and clothes and things like that. Then I became involved with Adopt a Native Elder program, and I had a Native grandmother who I actually took care of for many years, and when she passed, right when she was sick, she actually adopted me, and I still have the bracelet. She had gifted me with this beautiful turquoise bracelet before she passed, and said that I was her daughter. So I do have sisters in Chinle, which has been amazing because we keep in touch with each other even after all these years. And then I became a childbirth educator, and I worked with young mothers, pregnant teens, and helped start the Coalition for Teen Pregnancy on Cape Cod because of the fact that there was no resources for them at that time. And so I gave free classes to them. I became a childbirth educator and gave free classes, and actually did daycare for their children so they would go back to school and get their diplomas. So over the years, I've just done wherever there has been sort of a need.
I've worked with, I was the outreach coordinator at a food pantry, and I did container gardening. I had a senior grow plants, and I gave them out to the clients, and I showed them how to, grow on the patios, and then, so that they would have fresh vegetables. And I've done quite a few community garden projects, and very much into, because I'm Wampanoag and Micmac, have done a lot, in the Native communities, and growing food for, when I was living on Cape Cod, the clan mother and I grew food for the elders on Cape Cod, and worked and then we taught Wampanoag culture to the children, which was it was a really fun time. And then that got me involved in the prison work with Native American prisoners with their families. And for 10 years, I wrote a newsletter for the children, Hanta Ho, to help them make better choices, and then not end up going that same path as their parents. And so recently, I have been, again, working more with my children and my grandchildren, but I'm over in Boswani helping Angelina, because I am a founding parent of a Waldorf school on Cape Cod. So I'm trying to get Angelina, giving her resources, and they're looking at a Waldorf school over there in Boswani. I hooked her up with the Waldorf people, and then we did Days for Girls, hygiene kits. So my main goal that I do now is I find resources and I help wherever is needed. Like Noah David in Kenya has a children's center, and I contacted Dress a Girl, and I got dresses for his girls over there, and I mailed them over. And I just did a fundraiser with Shoes That Grow, and I raised enough money to get 17 pairs of shoes for his children. And so I just, wherever there's a need, I sort of try to fill it as best I can, using the resources and doing research on resources that can go over to Kenya, can go over to Boswani, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that you elaborated a little bit on what you're doing, Michelle. That's quite extraordinary, and I'd like to connect with you separately regarding identifying perhaps somebody that could help us anchor Africa. We do have an ambassador in Africa. Africa's a big continent, and yeah, Namrata commented. I think we're all in awe of your work.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary. Thank you. And what you're doing from your seat where you are, and how your arms reach around the world, is quite remarkable.
Well, it's really funny because when I got out of high school, I wanted to go into the Peace Corps, but my mother had other plans and got me into college, and I majored in fashion merchandising, which was not anything, and I modeled for a while, and it was totally not who I was. And so when I became pregnant and all of that, I relished being a mom and doing the work in the community around the care, with my children. I was a La Leche League leader, and I worked with single moms, because it doesn't matter. La Leche League had this thing about this family unit as mother, child, and husband. And when I ended up getting a divorce, I realized that you can still be a family, and we just had to sort of rearrange of how families look like. So I've been working a lot, and I was part of the Clothesline Project too, with women in domestic violence. Have you heard of the Clothesline Project?
No.
They would make, so domestic violence, and I'm not sure if they're still around, but when I was on Cape Cod, it actually went like the AIDS quilt. It went around, and there was a clothesline of T-shirts of women who were abused, and some of them who had died, or whoever had went through domestic violence or violence. And it would travel from town to town on a clothesline in town, and people could go in, and these T-shirts were made. So,
Mike.
Yeah, I did hear about that in school, actually.
Okay.
I saw it somewhere. I was in women's studies, so.
But I found working with trauma and and domestic violence is that you can go into therapy and all of that and talk about it, but to be able to produce something, and I learned it in Al-Anon also, that, you know, when you've got that anger and you need to get it out, to bake bread or, you know, dig a shovel and then plant a plant, so something beautiful is coming out of that, and working through that in order to come over to the other side, that, you know, you can talk about it, but until you put it into something physical, whether it's writing it down or, you know, writing a letter or putting it into the physical form, it just keeps going over and over in your brain, sort of. You know.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we created a committee called A Partnership for a Safe and Sacred Now. Susan is part of that committee, and Namrata as well. So and many, I think that the confluence of all the things that you do would fit really beautifully into that. And I'd like to share with you, and we could also seek your wisdom and your advice as well, what we've done to see if it can support you into that. And here's demonstrating, you know, the power of our network and leveraging all that we have. Elaine has dropped in a message for you that she'd like your contact information, because she may be able to access some support for you in terms of funding. So, you know, it's all hands on deck is what we think here at the Charter. You know, what can we all do to make each other better? We're better together. So thank you, Michelle. We have much to do together. My gosh, I feel like so expanded right now. I am really super excited to welcome also Annie. Annie is, Annie, I can't wait to hear all about you. I can't wait to hear about what's this HAX. Tell us about everything, especially this HAX hackathon, because to me, that's what this generation is doing. You are just hacking. As a matter of fact, I just want to share, about 5 years ago, I went to a conference at Facebook and on science and social media, science and technology. And I was surprised. It was the first time I ever heard of hacking as something that was positive. And everywhere, posters everywhere, all over Facebook's campus, hack away, hack it to life, things like that. So hacking is the way we have to rethink, pull things apart, and reconstruct. So here is the reconstructor in our midst. So Annie, tell us all about yourself, and welcome.
All right, thank you for welcoming me. Hello everyone, my name is Annie and I'm from the Silicon Valley in California. So essentially I'm located in the area where there is the booming industry of STEM and technology. And obviously I'm slightly younger, but you know, a lot of times there's people telling me, oh, you're younger, you won't be able to achieve as much. A lot of the things you're trying to do, you might be more successful when you start older. But I actually use that as a motivation to really push me to show others that, you know, even younger audiences can truly make a difference. So as mentioned earlier, I've started XX Hacks, which is a hackathon for girls. One issue I'm really passionate about is, you know, engaging girls in the STEM field, really empowering them, because they're really underrepresented in technology and the STEM field. So essentially in this hackathon, we not only teach girls and provide them with workshops on how to code, but within just 12 hours, these girls, they form groups and they narrow down on a topic that they want to target. So for instance, if they want to target women's issues, environmental issues, and they create a website or an app that solves that issue. And then by the end of 12 hours, they present that to a group of judges. And through that, it's a really empowering moment to see that, you know, young girls are able to truly make an impact in our community. So aside from that, I'm also really involved in the state and the community and the city. So I've worked with the City Chamber of Commerce as well as the California State Assembly. So I really believe that women should also be involved in politics. And although I'm young, I still believe that, you know, this is actually a great opportunity to get youth involved, to really engage with the younger audience, to really open up all the opportunities. So I'm super excited to work with you guys. and see what we can bring to the communities.
And you have no idea. I'm doing cartwheels inside right now. First of all, may I invite you to replace the phrase "I'm young" with "because I'm young." We have some background here. I'm just going to mute. Brenda, I'm just muting you a tad, and Betsy unmuted you. Although I'm young, we believe this, or I believe this. I'd like to start to consider because I'm young. You hold the wisdom. So I want to first just get that out. And second, thank you, because for too many reasons. The one of which I'm so glad I'm looking around going, oh, I hope Brenda's hearing this, because Brenda is part of a California initiative. One of the projects I involved with and I founded was Compassionate California. And so, and I'd like to share with you and everybody, and remind you and everybody that ambassadors not just do those things I mentioned earlier. You know, we share what we're doing and we bring, but how can we be better together? How can we leverage this? Annie, how can we, through our program, through our initiative, promote hackathons? What can we do? Because as you may have read on our landing page, providing STEM education and political literacy for young girls is one of the top bullets, if not the top bullet. Yet that's one of those things I said, you know, we have all these ideas and we don't really know where they're going to grow, but we know it's a vision we're holding, and one day that leaf will sprout, and perhaps the leaf is sprouted to this morning. Maybe we're all seeing a birth moment here, ladies. So I'm really excited, and I could tell by the smile on your face that maybe you are too, because you just really hit the mark. Brenda is in Sacramento, and so first thing we should probably do is invite you to Vision 2020, which is coming up in September. But I'm going to stop talking for a second and invite Brenda to introduce herself to you. Because that's what we were doing, Brenda. I don't know how long you've been here, but what we've been doing is we've been introducing ourselves to Michelle and Annie, which I'm so glad we did, because it refreshed me, and I heard some new things from the women we meet with every week. So, but now we're hearing from them. So Brenda, do you want to share what you're doing, where you are, and tell us how much you just heard?
Sure.
Uh-oh, are you there? Oh, Drax.
I'm getting a really weak connection. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can. Uh-huh.
I can.
So I'll try video, but I'm today kind of on a real tight schedule. So my apologies. Here we are. Where am I? Here we go. Okay. Hi. Welcome. So I only heard a little bit that Annie, you're involved in with hacking, and you're in Silicon Valley, so you're in California. So that was very exciting to hear, to have you near us. And my brain's just kind of going off on, I need to learn more, because I don't know what you're up to, but I do have some people that are involved in a Nexus group in Silicon Valley, and they're just very possibly, who knows what's going to come from, you know, you being part of the charter here. I just want to testify for myself that since I've been involved just in January of last year with the Charter for Compassion Women and Girls, and also the California Vision 2020 with the Shift Network, which is a big conference that we're putting on in September here in Sacramento, there's been so many dreams coming true. It's just a lovely group of dedicated people, and we really are creating a better world. So, you know, we can connect. Somehow I'm not at my computer right now. California 2020 is a great conference that we're putting on. Like I said, you might want to check it out, see if you could attend. And we could talk. Maybe I can get you my email. I'll try to do that so that we could maybe talk about it a little bit. I think you might be interested. we have a lot of focused youth groups meeting, but these youth are younger than you. They're ages 15 to 21, and we're having roundtable discussions throughout the state. And then they're going to have access to the California Vision, and we're doing a culture lab where we're creating a lot of interactive experiential at this conference. And I'm an encourager that is trying to get every session to be somewhat interactive rather than, people on the stage talking heads. And I know, Susan, I didn't mean to say V2020.
Oh, sorry.
V2020 is the other part of what we're doing, which is great too.
Sorry, that was me.
And so that's on August 22nd, next month. And we have a call at 8 a.m. So we'd love to have you be there. Elaine and I and Joan are going to talk about sacred geometry. So I'll stop for now. Did I cover some things, Sandy?
Yeah, for sure. That definitely sounds interesting, something I'm interested in. We can definitely reach out to each other and communicate about that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. And that is an example of an understatement of all that Brenda does here and how she's living the charter and how she brings what she's doing to and that relationship I mentioned earlier, basically. Really, everybody here is just an extraordinary model of that, as you are, and you didn't even know it, Annie. So one of the things also, and this is, we can't underestimate this, or I can't say this enough, is that we want to provide leadership opportunities too, especially, Annie, when you're talking about, your work with young girls. What's next for them? What's next after they get their training and they go off into the world? How do you ensure that they keep this momentum going? Well, perhaps we might be able to provide that space for them. We offer leadership opportunities, and what we would do is we would listen to them and say, what does that look like to you? And with some, loose boundaries, basically, we can stretch the edges of those boundaries always. But of course, we have to make sure we're within our boundaries here at the charter, and that it's charter related. But that's easy to do, because if it's compassion related, it's charter related. I mean, it's pretty fair to say. So with that said, we not only have that opportunity, but in that vein, we can also provide the technology here with our Zoom platform and our audience. So if you were interested in saying, providing them an opportunity so they can start using their voice publicly with their information, or how they can go into the world. Some may want to be spokesperson. We know that they want to find their voice and find their confidence, how to really pull their shoulders back and feel strong in their volition and who they are. We're going to give them, and it's as simple as that. We'll give them the platform through our webinar, create a webinar programming or something. This is what the Next Gen Task Force is for. Brenda has her hand raised. I just saw that. Brenda?
I don't see Brenda, but anyway, I wanted to say welcome, Annie, and I'm thrilled to see you here. And I wanted to share also that my daughter, very much unlike me, was in STEM, and she became an engineer. And she's done very well. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is how, when she graduated from college, she reached out to other young women and was a part of their lives in various ways. I remember her working with individual young women, teenagers who were having difficulties with drugs or other things, and she's done a lot of that kind of thing throughout her life. But I think the connection between wanting to promote more girls into STEM and being a woman who reached that goal and then helping others to reach that goal is just so wonderful and valuable. Oh, you are muted.
Thank you so much for that.
A note of notice, and you did share it, so I hope it's all right that I mention it here. I'm going to get back to that. That you stated that you're under 18.
Right, I am. I'm almost there. Just a couple months.
That's okay. I think we're all a little impressed and delighted.
Impressed.
Right? That you're here, and we're really grateful. How did you find the charter?
So I've been working a lot with, women's issues, and I'm actually working with the city's Chamber of Commerce. So I did a lot of research on, women and getting involved in the community. And I came across the Charter for Compassion and saw this opportunity and thought, we don't really have this kind of thing in our community. So if we can bring that and improve our communities, that would be fantastic.
Well, part of our initiative, so you know a little bit about the Cities of Compassion initiative then? Did you find that information about how a City of Compassion works?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So it's basically the mayor and the city council along with stakeholders like yourself and Board of Education, small mom and pop groups, committed citizens working grassroots communities, just everybody who cares about your community from all the different, and diverse approaches to making the city more compassionate, from homelessness to, the wage gap, all these things San Francisco particularly is dealing with. Then you come together at the table, you affirm the charter, and then you start working in the manner of collective impact to address the problems. And so City of Compassion is not the end, it's the process. And so it's just the commitment to get to work. You meet regularly. There's a toolbox to doing this. So when one of the first cities I approached when Compassionate California came into being was Mayor Lee, who is, did I hear he passed away, Mayor Lee? I don't know, but anyway, he's no longer the mayor, right? There's another mayor in town. And, but at any rate, and with some support from the mayor of Louisville, who's a major spokesperson and he and Mayor Lee, he actually came to San Francisco and we all met but anyway, it just never happened. There's a lot of politics, and I've actually met with the city, but the time wasn't right. So there was some initiative to doing it. Sometimes it can't come through starting at the political head. Sometimes it happens at the grassroots. Sometimes you just have to start the compassionate city without the city council, and then make your way to the city council, and start inviting them to the meetings to see what's happening to improve the conditions. And then they see you're helping them accomplish their goals. And then they've got that buy-in, and then they'll step in. And sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it starts at the mayor. Brenda has worked with Mayor Steinberg in Sacramento and affirmed it to be a city of compassion. Yet that was a year ago, and finally she and I know Joan Marie, who you haven't met yet but will, actually went before the city council recently and said, we are a city of compassion, what are we doing about it? So you can't just wave the flag, you actually have to do the work. Otherwise it doesn't do you any good. And what we want to do is change the narrative in the community. So with the few minutes left, and I know I do an awful lot of talking on these calls, and where do we go from here? And by the way, you can unmute yourself and chime in anytime if you have any here.
I do.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. What?
I chime in.
Yeah, here, chime. I hear your bells. Did you want to share something?
No, I'm just cheering you on and agreeing with you.
Oh, those are your pom-poms, I hear. Sorry. There's Brenda.
Hi there.
So Annie, hi Michelle. Sorry I missed what you had to share. I hope to meet you or
I'm recording.
maybe listen. Yeah, maybe listen to the recording. I don't know. I'm a little in overflow and don't want to say the word overwhelm yet, but I'm getting ready to leave for a week also, and then I'm just kind of taking off for a number of things. So Annie, what would be the platform that the hacker, or I understand STEM, and almost became a facilitator for STEM, which is also STEAM. You've heard of STEAM, bringing in the arts. So what is the hacking, the purpose? Could you tell me just real quick what that is? The reason I'm asking is there's a thing going on in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so hacking isn't exactly, hacking exactly. It's more so using code to create projects to impact the community. Yeah, so there's not exactly any hacking involved. It's more, coding and creation.
Okay, great. I met a woman in Oakland last week at one of our roundtables, the only one I've been to so far, and she's teaching women coding. Wonderful woman over in Oakland, and so probably be nice for you to connect. So what I will do is, I don't know how quick, it'll probably be a couple weeks because I'm really heading out of town and have a lot on my plate. But I wrote in to you, I gave you the website and everybody else what we're doing, and I look forward to you getting in touch with me if you would. And I have some other, there are other younger ladies involved in the charter. We just don't always have them present. They're kind of working in the background. A lot of times I think the struggle that younger people have is, you're really engaged deeply in what you're doing. And not that we aren't, but, it's so disappointing when I hear this, ageism that takes place. I worked with kids of ages 5 to 18 for 18 years, empowering 5-year-olds even. So I'm very well engaged in unleashing the potential of the youth. So I'll be done. I'm done for now. So let's just make sure we connect, and it'll be a couple weeks just because of my plate. My platter is full.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So what I'd like to recommend then is that we communicate by way of email until next week, just because I'm packed today and I leave for a mini vacation until Wednesday, because I hit the overwhelm button. I'm like, bam, I accept. I'm getting out of Dodge for a couple of days for some self-care. But what I'd like to suggest, Annie, is that maybe you start and think about how we can support you, how you can show up here within our sector, and how can we show up in the work that you're doing to support you. You have 6 women sitting in front of you with a little bit of experience and knowledge and meat on the bones, figuratively, to perhaps support you. You've also heard from us, and my gosh, Michelle, too, with your extraordinary work, and perhaps there's work there. Maybe girls in, Michelle's population can find, empowerment through what you're doing, and vice versa. So
Yes, it would be, because I work with youth that girls that are in the foster care system and at youth at risk. So a lot of my work does go into that broad aspect, and I do have an adopted daughter and 2 sons. But what I do is I have brought vision boards to them to sort of get their story out and where they want their life to go, and to go past all of that they've been through. So when they call me up and they say, Michelle, and they're crying, what am I going to do with my life? It's like, go in there and either draw out your picture of the life that you want, or, create this vision board. And so that's how I've worked with them. But youth at risk, they are, they need to know that they have a voice, and they need to know that they do have their life purpose, and we need to sort of ignite that within them. because I sort of need to realize that they have more than just the trauma that has been in their lives up until this point. So.
Wow. Yeah, I suspected there was going to be something there. Now, you said you're working on a website, right? That's under development, Annie?
A website?
Let me, yeah, just on your application, I think there was a box for your ad for your website, and it says under development.
Yeah, so for our XX Hacks Hackathon, as well as some of the other organizations I'm a part of, we have websites so we can better reach out to youth and also the general public. So right now it's currently under construction. We're thinking of possibly rebranding. We're not sure yet. So after we, build our website and have that ready to go, we'll definitely start reaching out to more people.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm going to put you in touch also with Marie Roker Jones, or perhaps we can have a conversation. Now that it's summer, we want to kind of grab you when we can and take advantage of this, because I know, being a student, you're as busy as all of us, but particularly summers might be just a little lighter for you. Is that is that a good assumption?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to Marie Roker Jones, and maybe we can have a conversation too about how we can bring this back to this committee, and what can we do. But Marie is, and right now what we're doing, and Michelle, this might be new information for you, and it would have to be because we haven't put anything out publicly yet about it, that we are developing this next gen task force and building it eventually so that it should be healthy enough to be its own sector. When the time is right, because there's a lot of work on the back end that goes into creating a sector. There's some weight that puts on the volunteer staff here at the charter. So we're very careful to make that very clear that it'll be probably a while, but we are carrying that until that time is right and the resources are there. But we know it's absolutely necessary. You can't keep the voices of women down, and it's very clear we can't keep the voices, and we don't want to, of young people now. And we really, one thing that we emphasize here at the Charter of Women and Girls is that we're listening. As a matter of fact, one of our primary initiative, our launching initiative, is the Listen to Me project. And so we really want to hear from your generation. Yeah. So, and then there's some leadership opportunities there as well, as much as you have the capacity for. So with that said, is there anything else? Susan, are you speaking? I see your lips moving, but I don't.
Yes, I was. I was wondering, can you give an update on the kids video project?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So that is really slow going. We have 3 months to go. The Girls Video Project is our Girls Voices initiative. And this is an effort to videotape young people ages 5 to 18 and ask them, and Annie, thank you. Perhaps Annie will contribute to this as well. We want a very short clip of young people telling us why girls are important to the world, what the promise of girls are, why is parity necessary for girls. We have a series of questions that we worked out, but they're prompt questions, and I can send the whole toolkit to you of what we're looking for. And then we'll be compiling those messages into a short film. That short film will be part of our Girls Voices campaign. Thank you, Susan. I can't believe that this completely fell right out of my brain. It went out that way. So this video will be launched at the Parliament of the World's Religions at this conference, and with the campaign there. But we have got a commitment to have it on a screen in a very widely trafficked area that'll be playing on a continuous loop. And so our original intention was, this all started, we have an ambassador about your age in Botswana, And she was on the call, and I'm so glad I recorded it because it would have made a video in itself. What her passion is about getting girls in her community, and I'll put you in touch with her. It's hard to connect with her though because she has limited access to internet. But when she does, she comes in like a storm, and a powerful one. And she was, while she was talking, I'm like, we need to get that voice out into the world. And then from that said, well, what can we do if we got everybody's voice out into the world like that? And then, well, why don't we launch it at the Parliament? But the intention is that while people are walking the halls on their way to one of those 1,500 workshops, that everything they learn, whether it's social impact, whether it's theology, whatever it is through now the lens of our children's voices and our children, how this is impacting girls. So that is the intention of why we want to launch it there. And it might be a living process. We might add to it as time goes on. It might evolve into, we don't know. It's one of those things that we're like, we'll birth it and we'll see where she wants to go. But right now we want to birth this video. So we've only gotten about 5 videos so far, but I know that there's a number. We've extended the deadline, so I think people are waiting for the deadline. So we invite you to contribute to that, Annie, and Michelle too, if you'd like to interview all the many children in your life, like you're surrounded by them, they're all at your hem, then you'll be getting that. Brenda's got to go. Thank you for working us into your busyness, Brenda. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, have a beautiful.
All of you, yeah, it's great. So very nice to see everyone. Yeah, I'll be gone till next Thursday myself. So I'm going up to Lindahan and building the Temple of Light up at the Expanding Light.
So good. I just exhaled for the first time today. Thanks, Brenda.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. And Michelle and Annie, maybe you'll consider joining us at the Parliament. Like Susan said, it can be, it's costly if you can get there. The conference, if you think about a conference, it's nominal. And I may also have a discount code. I don't know if it still works because that ended a while back, but I may be able to squeeze some in. It's worth a shot. But for a whole week, the full registration at full price, I think it's still under $500 a full week.
The registration is very reasonable.
Yeah.
It's just that if you don't live in Toronto, then you have to get there and you have to have a room. And hotels are expensive. I booked a room and got a roommate. And it's still going to cost me like $900 for my room for the week. Plus an airplane from California to Toronto and back. So it's quite an expense, but it's like I said, it's really worthwhile, but the registration itself is really reasonable.
Yeah, I begged and borrowed to go to the one in Australia. And we were lucky enough that it was in Salt Lake City last time. So that was, but I committed, I'm going wherever it goes. I'm saving my shekels now for wherever it may be. And that wasn't a hint. I really don't know where it's going to be next. It could pop up anywhere, but it's like putting on the Olympics. So it has to, the host city has to come up with a couple $1 million. And the Visitors Bureau loves it because it brings 12,000 people from around the world to their city.
What? I'll tell you, I have a thought here. If you're interested in the Parliament, you can go on YouTube and type in Parliament of World Religions. You can look at videos. The energy and the women's participation was just incredible. They had the first women's assembly that started the whole week, and it was just, and you can see it on video right now on YouTube. And if you can't attend the Parliament, you can get live video feed from the Parliament.
Some of it. It'll be choppy, but some. Yeah. They're not doing everything they can.
There's too much going on to see it all on one video feed that they're going to offer you.
the first video I want you to check out is just Google Marianne Williamson at the Parliament of World Religions. Watch her talk. And so I was in the front row. As a matter of fact, you'll even see me. My hair was shorter because they scan the audience when people go crazy and insane. We were howling like wolves at the moon because something was unleashed in us. There was this primordial, what's it called? We were just exploding with something. Nobody knew what it was. 5,000 women were in that room that day. And women and men, we were on our feet and we were just losing it. I think it was Marianne Williamson, because, you know, she can really say it, truth to power. She blew the roof off and we're just blowing in the wind at this point in this spiral. It was crazy. It was in that moment that you see me on my feet that this was developed. And it was 1 year later. In other words, the idea for the charter to pull together the women, because I remember thinking in that moment, we're the women of the charter. So that's when I went to Maryland. Actually, it was a little bit later, but I went to Maryland with that question, and that's where this whole thing started. So it was exactly 1 year and one day that we launched the Women and Girls sector. Marianne Williamson, Reverend Joan Brown Campbell, Malika Chopra, Barbara King, a lot of the women that you see on the stage at the Parliament were on our call launching this initiative here that you are now a part of. So Susan, thank you so much for bringing that up. It was powerful. There's going to be another women's assembly. I don't know. I was on the women's task force and I had to just step off having done my task at the time. But I don't know if it's going to be the same. But anyway, it'll be something better, I'm going to expect. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Thanks for reminding me about that and telling everybody about it, Susan. Okay, wow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself the rest of the day, but I'm spinning out. And I'm so glad I remembered to record this. I'm going to send this to our board of directors. I want them to see an update on what Women and Girls sector looks like and what our ambassadors are doing in the world. And because I could not possibly make a report on this, after everything you guys are saying. And so I want to thank you all for being the voice of the charter, holding the heart of compassion, and doing all the extraordinary, mind-blowing work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Michelle and Annie and Namrata and Bets. You just make my life so much better. So thank you. And I can't wait to connect with both of you individually and collectively, Annie and Michelle too. So thank you. I'm going to sign off now. Everybody okay? Any final thoughts? No, we're good? All right. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
Great evening, Namrata. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye.
day.
Nice meeting you all.